And welcome, rugby fans, back to Rugby411. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata. And first of all, you might have noticed something really nice. It finally came in the mail. My RFCLA team kit looks pretty snazzy, if I like to say so myself. Big shout out to Matt Gilhouse, who is director of merchandise over in RFCLA, as well as a member of the RFCLA team, and in my opinion, the man with the best beard in RFCLA. Not only in RFCLA, but in entire Major League Rugby. So again, big shout out to him. If you ever go to an RFCLA game, he's usually at the merchandise table. Give him a good big handshake and a hello as well. He is a great dude. So enough of the jersey. Welcome to week number 10's power ranking. Yes, we are in the double digits of the 2024 MLR season. Full transparency. This last weekend, I had the fortunate ability to go see my wonderful girlfriend in Florida, which meant very minimal rugby action that weekend. I did miss out on what looked like a couple pretty good games, so I'm a little disappointed with that, but I guarantee you guys I will make up for it by the end of next week. So when the next video rolls around, you know me, I always love to watch all the rugby games. I've been doing it since I started making these videos simply because I don't want to just judge these teams and these power rankings based off of the scoreboard. I really need to watch the game because some of these games end up being closer than what they really are, just because maybe a team just gives up an easy try at the very end of the game. So even though maybe one team was a little bit more dominant during the game, the score looks like, hey, they got really close. But in the end, it really wasn't. So I do like to make these power rankings based more on what I see rather than just scoreboard. Unfortunately, I did miss watching 2 games this weekend, so I really can't say too much, but I don't feel it really affected too much of my power rankings. There is quite a bit of movement because there are quite a few interesting twists and turns this week. Some really, really good games, at least from the ones I watched. And yeah, so I'll make up for it by next week. I'll watch all the games. Next week's schedule is a little bit interesting because we are observing Mother's Day, which, by the way, happy early Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. Make sure if you are a rugby fan that's watching this, and I know we all have mothers, whether or not they are still with us or not, make sure that you give some love to your mother, to any mother, anyone that's a mother, this coming Mother's Day, because they truly do deserve a lot of their love. I know mine does. So, anyways, let's get into the power rankings again. If you've never seen my power rankings videos before, remember these rankings are based truly on what happens on the pitch, who you play against, who you beat, where you beat them. All those play in a factor. It's not just simply the top team on the conferences and the conference table are the ones that are on top. It does sort of play out that way, but certain things do make into account on these power rankings. And again, I'll explain it through the video. But again, let me know what you think about my rankings compared to yours in the comments below. And let's begin. A team, like I said before, pretty much for this entire season, at least for this one, is going to stay near the bottom, and that is going to be the New Kids Rugby Anthem Carolina. So they lost, unfortunately, to one of the more dominant teams this season. Number one, I might as well just put them there because it's no surprise. Number one team right now in my power rankings, the Seattle Seawolves. Your only two-time MLR champions. They handily defeated Carolina, though it was pretty close at the beginning. They won 29-13. Gotta give it to Carolina again. It's a team that has a lot of potential. Again, guys, experimental team. Purpose of Carolina, Anthem Rugby Carolina, is simply to give players who are American-born, young players between the age range of 18 to 25, the ability to play on a team and to get some serious professional rugby experience on a level that they've never gotten before. Abilities to start and play on a team when if they were playing on other teams, they probably wouldn't get the opportunity. So really a chance to grow these players in a professional level in hopes of then preparing them to play on the national level, where they move into our Eagles to play in future World Cups, including, of course, the 2031 World Cup, which will be hosted here in America. So we are trying to pave the way for that. So Anthem Rugby, Carolina, very young team, but again, has a lot of potential. I don't feel they'll win a game this season. Maybe they'll win one, but I'm sure if the team stays what it is right now to next year, I guarantee you they'll be winning quite a few games next season because they look like they have a lot of potential. In this game, Seattle and Carolina were very close. Halftime score was 10-8. So a really big shout out to Carolina for keeping the game very close in the first half. In the second half, the game kind of got away from them. In the end, big shout out to Sam Windsor, the top point scorer in the history of Major League Rugby, still doing it today, stepping in again for AJ Alatimu, who unfortunately was, not AJ Alatimu, stepping in for Mac Mason, who unfortunately has been hurt so far the last couple of weeks. Sam Windsor has become that point scoring machine like it was last couple of years. 14 points in this game, 1 try, 4 for 5 off of the tee. 14 points just by Sam Windsor alone really helped lead Seattle to win over Carolina 29-13. Number 11 spot is RFCLA. They had a bye, so they really don't go anywhere, because if you have a bye, I make it a point to not necessarily have you go up or down because you didn't do anything. I don't feel it's right to move you around, so they stay at number 11. Two teams that pretty much just switch positions, Old Glory and Miami. Miami, unfortunately, losing to Old Glory. Very close game, 13-10. This is one of the games I wasn't able to watch. I believe I had Miami winning this game, and my pick'ems is one of the only ones I think I got wrong. But Old Glory being able to guts out a win over Miami, 13-10. They switch positions now because of that. Makes sense to me. Number 8, another team that went on bye last week is your NOLA Gold, so they don't move up or move down. Now, these next 6 spots, this is where there's quite a bit of movement. Actually, in these next 3 spots, quite a bit of movement going around. Dropping 1 spot, number 6 to number 7, your Utah Warriors losing to the Houston SaberCats 24-29. I did see this game, and man, Houston is looking like a really, really dangerous team. I mentioned it before in my way too early predictions. I thought Houston had the potential to be a pretty good team. I didn't realize how great they were going to be. They have been pretty unstoppable so far this season. Early in the game, Utah could have scored quite early in the game, but unfortunately, the 2 attempts that they have, both of them knock-ons in the tri-zone area. At the 25-minute, Houston was able to score first with a penalty kick from AJ Alatimu, and then after a yellow card to Utah, Seth Smith, the youngest player in the history of Major League Rugby at only 19, scored his very first career try last week, scores his second try this week, and is still the youngest player in Major League Rugby history to score a try. He is a phenomenal looking player. If you see him he is like a tank, dude. His nickname is the Viking. He has the braids and everything. He looks phenomenal. Definitely a kid I'm hoping will be able to pick up a spot in the Eagles team, or at least get some experience in some Eagles training camp, because he is definitely a player who has the potential to be a future U.S. American Eagles superstar in the making. Again, going back, Utah tried their best to win this game. In the second half, Houston scores a couple. They trade back and forth. In the end, Utah got really, really close to scoring, but a interception try by Dom Makina, who has been doing pretty well for Houston, puts the game away. Utah had the chance to try to steal the game because it was 29-24 with minutes left. Utah was driving, but unfortunately a turnover at literally the 5-meter line kept the game for Houston. Houston gets a really good win, 29-24, as I mentioned before. Utah slides down a spot. Another game that I wasn't able to watch, Dallas is now number 6, sliding down the spot, losing to the San Diego Legion, 24-30. Score looks pretty good. I definitely felt this was a get-right game for San Diego, who dropped the last 2. Again, I haven't seen the games. So I don't know if they broke the little streak that they had this season of falling behind and having every game where at halftime they were never in the lead. Maybe they changed it. That's how they won this game. But big win for San Diego, who then moves up 2 spots to the number 5 position. Before mentioned, Houston SaberCats sitting at number 4. Even though they had a very good win against Utah, I didn't feel that warranted them a chance to move up in the rankings because, man, the next game between the New England Free Jacks and the Chicago Hounds was definitely the game of the week. Game between the number 2 and number 3 teams in my power rankings. And I called it. Chicago ends up pulling the upset, winning, moving up to number 2. New England slides down to number 3. And a really, really good game. Chicago gets the win 26-20. Now, the score is very close, but I'll be honest with you, Chicago looked really dominant in this game. Again, something happened, and I gave out my theories, with Dylan the Butcher Fawcett clearly cementing himself as a starting hooker. He scored, by the way, in this game. His Major League Rugby leading try score, 49 tries. He is the all-time try scorer in the history of Major League Rugby. His 49th, he is just one away from being the first person in Major League Rugby history to score 50 tries over his career. Big score for the Butcher. Also, too, again, I think with Billy Meeks being clearly established as the number 12 spot where he's supposed to be, I think everything is just kind of falling in place for Chicago. New England, unfortunately, had a couple of issues. Jason Potros was not very good in this game, struggled. He was only 1 for 3. And it seems that in the games that New England does lose, Jason Potros does struggle quite a bit. Unfortunately, to add salt to the wound, Jason Potros left the game early. He got hit really hard in the ribs and unfortunately had to leave. There was a lot of injuries in this game too. Luke Carty for Chicago, he had a bad injury a bad knock to the head. He had to leave. Paulo Balacano, the amazing winger for the Free Jacks, he scored 2 tries in this game. Fortunately, after the second try, he had to hobble off with a injury. I heard he's okay, but no word on what the status is with Jason Potros or Luke Carty. Both players definitely big stalwarts for their team, especially with the case of Jason Potros. That might throw a kink in the plans of New England to defend their MLR shield. But again, a really, really good game. Really good performance by Chicago. And again, I feel this is the team that we always thought that they were going to be, and they're finally starting to show up. Kind of putting into practice what I said in my way too early prediction where I felt Chicago might be the team, instead of New England, to make their way into that MLR Shield Championship game. We'll see who's on the other side. I believed I had San Diego, not Seattle, but hey, Seattle has always been really, really close in trying to get that three-peat win. Usually it's San Diego that kind of steps in their way in the playoffs, but we'll see what happens here. And again, as I mentioned before, from the very start, Seattle sits at number 1 after beating Anthem Rugby Carolina in their match. So that is our power rankings. Again, a little shorter video because I didn't get to see 2 of the games. But again, a lot of great action this week. Now, for the first time, looking forward to getting to this part of the video, let's go over our SuperBru pick'ems of the week. Bam! And big congratulations to Leon. Leon has been my basement dweller buddy throughout this whole season. Ends up getting the golden cap. Great job, brother. Out of 14.5 points, 8.5 for him. I just missed it by a couple points. I placed second, the best showing I've had all season. Some of my gutsy picks paid off. I tied with JZS and the reviewer 812 for second with 6.5, and then tied for fifth. We have 4 people: Theo God, DKD Up, Hugo, new player Hugo, and Red Baron. Red Baron, who's been kind of on the bottom as well, slowly making his way to the top, all tied for 5th with 6 points. Unfortunately, surprisingly, the wooden spoon went to Sarai, who has usually been pretty dominant, but unfortunately has been hitting kind of a bad patch lately. And so that will affect our new overall rankings. Bam. And now number 1 is still JZS because of a good showing today this week, 62.33. That gap widens quite a bit, but now sitting at number 2, moving up 2 spots, James A 6117. Good job, James. 57.66, moving up 3 spots from number 6 to number 3. BT Woodrow, a guy that we saw a lot of last season, 56.58, dropping a spot. Our reigning defending Pick'ems champion, MSDRFC 83, 56.33, and then dropping 3 spots from number 2 down to number 5, our former number 1, Sarai, 54.83. Again, the top JZS is kind of breaking away from the pack, but the rest of the players in the top 5 only separated by less than 3 points, so it is still anybody's game in week number 10. Now, our bottom 5 looks like this. At 27 is Sunshine number 1, because there's 2 Sunshine, dropping a spot to 27. I moved up a spot, Dog Mine. Leon, because of that great performance, also moves up a spot. Dropping 3 spots is Wild Thing, and down at the very bottom is Sunshine 2, 31st place. So that is our pickups. Don't forget, as I mentioned before, and I'll mention again in my next video, we do have a very interesting weekend of games. 2 games on Friday, 3 on Saturday, nothing on Mother's Day Sunday. Again, guys, show a lot of love to your moms, or to somebody's mom, because they do deserve a lot of our love and respect and admiration as well. But again, if you are in my pick'ems, you got to get those picks in early. Don't wait until the last minute, because as you see with the way that the standings are with our pick'em pool, every point is important. And so, yeah, that is the video. A little bit shorter than our usual videos, but don't forget, I will be posting my pick'em video and preview of next week's action very soon after this. So again, thank you very much for watching my video, and I'll see you on the pitch.